Hello everyone, welcome to our first video on our new YouTube channel. My name is Sam. Allie.
What?
Oh.
I'm
Allie. We live in the mountains of western North Carolina with our two dogs, Clark and Raven, who hopefully are not too loud while we do this. I did keep some notes, so if you see my eyes over here, it's my first video, so. We decided to start a YouTube channel to chronicle our entire journey as we plan on building our own small house. There are a few reasons we decided to start this channel. The first reason is because we wanted to be able to share the process with our family. A lot of them live far away, our friends as well. The second reason is we wanted to be able to track, memories. We wanted to be honest with the process. Good or bad and everything in between. And the last reason, this is probably the biggest reason, for me anyway, is after months and months of research about building homes, tiny house living, do-it-yourself construction, I haven't been able to find anything similar to what we're doing, which is just a traditional tiny house build, not on wheels or anything. There's a lot of videos about tiny houses on wheels. There's a lot of videos about off-grid cabins. There's a lot of he built a shed for $300 and wait till you see inside kind of videos. There's a lot of videos about shipping containers and straw bale huts and concrete domes and tree houses and pallet wood sheds and buses turned into RVs and everything else. But there's just not very many, and I can't find any individual channels about small square footage houses built with regular building materials. It's a little frustrating. We're not trying to break any molds. We're not trying to do something crazy. We just want to build a small house for as cheap as we can, doing as much of the work as we can with our own hands. And so we made our own channel, and we want to share it with the world. I don't think that that's super unique, but it seems like it's super unique for what we're doing. So what with this first video that we want to do, the thing we want to do is give you the basics of who we are and what we're doing. So just for a minute or two, we're going to talk about the property. We're going to talk about the housing market around here, and then we're going to talk about the house itself, size, shape, things like that. And lastly, we're going to talk about our own building experience, or lack thereof, so you know what to expect from us. First off, where are we? We live about 10 minutes from downtown Asheville, North Carolina. If you know where Asheville, if you don't know where Asheville is, it's home to the Biltmore Estate, the largest private residence in the United States. So the whole area, prominently Asheville, is driven by tourism. And as it goes in any tourist areas, land values are ridiculously high. While nothing compared to LA or New York City or Chicago, compared to what you get for how much you spend, house prices are just ridiculously out of hand. Even more as a percentage to those areas because you don't get a lot. And unfortunately, for most people that work here, they're unable to afford living here. But the area has so much to do and so much to offer that the pros far outweigh the cons, and so most people still flock to this area like crazy. And Allie and I are one of those couples that decided here is better than most other places in the country, so we've been here for about 8 years now. About 4 years ago, we decided we wanted to buy instead of rent, so we started house shopping. As expected, most things we liked were out of our price range, and it seemed like the only things that we found that we could afford were mobile homes or empty tracts of land that we then couldn't afford to build on. So Allie diligently took the lead on that search, and she set up profiles with a bunch of realtors. She looked up mortgage rates, and she researched communities, and she did this for months and months and months. One day she announced that she had found a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, a bit on the smaller side, only 800 square feet, but it was close by to where we lived, and it was in our price range. The downside, it had been abandoned 3 years before with the utilities left on, and so everything was destroyed. All the pipes were burst. A lot of the electrical was shorted out. The furnace had literally blown up. As best we could tell, there had been a fire in the living room, leaving an 8-foot wide black circle on the hardwood floors and a matching hole in the ceiling above. The craziest part is that it cost more in that abandoned condition than my first two houses that I purchased had cost me combined. So that's the real estate market that we're in. It was owned by HUD, so I'm going to skip through a lot of the red tape. We had to spend a lot of money before we could even get our purchase offer approved. Jump through a bunch of hoops, a lot of red tape. It was a very, very frustrating time. About 6 months before we actually got to closing, but we did. We muscled through and bought the place in January of 2017. From that first weekend that we owned it, and we worked day and night, 18, 20-hour days, sandwiched with our regular jobs in between. We gutted the entire house. We put brand new everything in it, from the floor joists all the way up to the roof. The shell was pretty much the only thing left, and even that, the termites had destroyed the whole back of the house, so we had to rebuild a laundry room, and the whole back wall is basically brand new construction. But new plumbing, new electrical, new roof, new hardwood floors, sanded all the way down to nothing. Some of the existing floors, brand new kitchen, brand new bathroom. We tore out walls, vaulted the ceiling, put this hardwood up. All that while doing our own jobs. And like dummies, we bought a food tour business the same time that we bought the house. And so every weekend we led food tours for people in the neighboring town. But we did all that with all that work, and in 3.5 months, start to finish, we moved in. It was an insane time in our life. But the reason I tell you all that is to tell you the location of the new house. So the place I just told you about, which is now our home, where I'm sitting, came with a weirdly shaped piece of land. Kind of like a baseball diamond, with the skinny part of the diamond in the front, and then the back being woods and a cliff. But it had 2 paved driveways on the skinny part of the front of the diamond, one on either side. From day one, I talked about building a cabin in the woods, and especially since we had 2 driveways, and Allie usually just smiled at me or rolled her eyes or something. But skip forward to last fall, we finally got around to finishing all the trim, the thing we'd skipped so that we could move in. We finally got around to painting the outside of the house. New porch posts, sealing in the concrete block foundation, some touch-up paint everywhere we missed, and the original project of the house is done. We're complete. We hired a land survey to be done, splitting the property into 2 parcels. The bigger parcel not including the house that exists, so that we have a little over 3/4 of an acre of empty land. We went back to the bank to apply for a refinance of our mortgage, but only to include this house. And because of the work we've done and because of the real estate market, it of course appraised for a lot more than we bought it for. And if all goes well in a couple days, we'll close, and we will own just under an acre of land, free and clear, in part of the country where that land could sell for $100,000 to, depending where you're at, $250,000 for empty land just as it sits. So that free and clear piece of land with a paved driveway is where we are building the new little house. So that's where we're located. What are we building? We are building a 400 square foot home. We originally thought about a simple 20 by 20 square, so that we didn't have any cut lumber. No waste equals cheaper cost in our thoughts. But as we played with floor plans and spaces and lofts and kitchens and bathrooms, we changed the shape to be 16 feet by 24 feet. Still, I'm sorry that the glare is on my glasses. Still 400 square feet though, 16 by 24. It's going to have a high-pitched roof, which we only recently realized is going to make it look a lot like an old country church. Kind of cool. And yes, Allie is going to get her round window, which is going to make it even more churchy. Here's a very basic drawing. We'll share more about the house in future videos, but we do want to talk for a second about our building experience. We did a lot of the work on this current house ourselves, and even though we made a lot of mistakes, we're still pretty dang proud of the results. For me personally, I helped my dad work construction my whole life growing up. I helped him build the house I grew up in. I was building and raising stud walls, hanging T111, hauling shingles up a ladder, fiberglass insulation, a lot more as early as 7 and 8 years old. My dad was a master carpenter, and I was, in his words, his right-hand man. Some of that knowledge stuck, not nearly as much as I would have liked it to, but just enough of it's in there that I'm not afraid of tackling the job of building my own house by myself. I have every intention of hiring an electrician and a plumber, unless I see enough YouTube videos where I change my mind and do that myself, but I probably will hire those people. And but everything else we're going to try to do ourselves. I might have somebody put in a foundation, and I might have somebody put on the roof, but other than that, we're going to do everything else ourselves. So that's where we are. That's where we're building. That's how much experience we have, and we hope that you'll join us as we travel this journey. Not sure if it's too soon to ask folks to subscribe to our channel, but go ahead and do that if you want. We'd appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.